Welcome everybody to the VWEC in Kitely. I will go stand by our new ambassador, who I'm very happy to introduce today, Cooper Swizzle, who is Bruce Gross in the physical world. And he's going to be taking you on a tour that is very well aligned to the nonprofit commons, and you'll see that as you go along today. Now, I hope that everyone has found a buddy, so that if they're lost, you can help them to find their way on Bruce's tour. So I'm going to hand the microphone over to Cooper. Take it away, Cooper.
Good morning, good afternoon to everyone. I'm going to ask a question. Does anyone have any questions of me before we go on the tour? So if everyone has a landmark, does anyone not have a landmark? Let us know in the nearby chat, and Val will get one to you.
I'm going to share this with all, just so you have it. We're going to start at the Lascaux cave, and when Cooper and I were in a Virtual Worlds course, he was fascinated with this cave, and I think you have been ever since.
Yes, I have. This is like the 13th edition I've made.
For those just arriving, we're starting our tour with Cooper Swizzle at the Lascaux Cave. So I'm going to drop you that landmark. We're just heading there now. But you might want to landmark this place, since this is the Virtual Worlds Education Consortium in Kitely. We now have an ambassador, Cooper Swizzle. So let's meet at the Cave of Lascaux.
Okay, so first I want everyone to know that Carla Kincaid Yoshikawa, who's with us here, and she's also Ardith over in Second Life. She worked diligently with me yesterday, and then even when I wasn't online, to complete what you're about to see. Um, the cave was already built. We put things in now so that you'll understand what's happening in the cave. And she's going to be running the speakeasy, so well, I'll be talking and she'll be running the speakeasy. So with that, Carla, if you'll begin, I'd appreciate it. So I'm Bruce Gross, and this is Training Solutions, the land that I use. I started working in 3D Worlds back in 2012, and I work collaboratively, like I just said, with Carla Kincaid Yoshikawa, who owns Training in the 21st Century. We're standing outside the Lascaux Cave, and we'll be touring that in just a few minutes, but I want to give you a little bit of background as to why we use 3D. Carla and I train adult learners on soft skills. And in corporate training, it's applied to training on topics that involve some sort of personal introspection and behavioral change. And we found that 3D environments are particularly valuable in this kind of training. Operating as an avatar seems to provide people with one degree of separation from their real selves, and that separation makes it easier for them to try out new roles, make mistakes, laugh about it, hopefully with others, and learn from their mistakes without feeling humiliated or embarrassed. Some of the soft skills trainings that we've taught are effective leadership, communication skills, topics related to team building, behavioral interviewing, and my favorite is sexual harassment. And we're also going to take a little bit of sexual harassment after we get through the cave. So today we're going to be walking through, and we can start walking into the cave. We're walking through the Lascaux Cave in France. Lascaux is a network of caves near the village of Montiac in southwestern France. And at any time, if you have any questions, if you'll type them into the chat or just ask, that'll be great. So many of the cave has many paintings covering the interior walls, ceilings, etc. Most of them are primarily represented by large animals that existed at that time. We would like to, I would like to, I would like to use, we like to use enclosed environments because it keeps the people focused on what we want them to see and think about what they're walking through in the environment. Excuse me, I have a cold. I must admit, I've taken liberties when I created this cave, and like I said earlier, this is my 13th edition. So, as you enter the cave, imagine the air is moist, with a slight decaying taste of raw earth and limestone. And you will see cave people throughout our walk. You must click on the cave people. But in the meantime, also, when we're moving ahead, look up at the ceiling where you'll see one of the cave paintings. But what I'd like someone to do now is go ahead and click on the female cave person and tell us what she's saying. I have no volunteers?
On September 12th, 1940, that one.
Yes, please.
The entrance to the Lascaux cave was discovered by 18-year-old Marcel Ravida when his dog, Robo, investigated a hole left by an uprooted tree.
All right, would someone like to read the gentleman cave person in the middle? Sitting on the stone.
Yeah, he says the discovery of this monumental cave brought with it a new era in the knowledge of both prehistoric art and human origins.
Thank you. And would someone please do the next cave person? The cave continues to feed modern man's collective imagination and to profoundly move to new generations of visitors from around the world. So let's go ahead and move forward. Take a look at the cave paintings, and these are all from the Hall of Bulls. My inspiration for creating this cave came from the book called Clan of the Cave Bear by Jean Arl, and her sixth book called, excuse me, The Land of Caves is where I came up with many of the ideas for putting this cave together. We have another gentleman over here who tells us the cave complex was opened to the public on July 14, 1948. By 1955, carbon dioxide, heat, humidity, and other contaminants produced by 1,200 visitors per day have visibly damaged the paintings. So they decided at that point that they were going to have to close the cave, which they did. As we move on, we then find out that they reopened the cave in 1983 by recreating the Great Hall of Bulls and the painted gallery. Archaeologists found many stone tools in the cave and different things that they used to create the paintings. The cave contains over 600 paintings. It also contains more than 1,500 engravings. And again, if you click on the, I'm just giving you the highlights, but if you click on the avatars, they actually, or I'm sorry, the Animesh, they actually tell you what's going on here. So let's stop right here and take a look at the painting on the wall to your behind you. I don't know where my avatar is going.
You're getting out of voice range.
Okay. If we look at this painting on the wall here, can anyone tell me the different things that they see? You can either share that in voice or you can type it into the chat. A bird. And what do you think that is above the bird? Okay. Running water, a spear, skeleton. Very good. Thank you. All right, moving along. Didn't mean to shove you, Sue Moon. All right, so I'm going to, because I want you to have some fun and pretend like you really live here, starting with these two Animesh, and there's 3 more around the corner, go ahead and click on the Animesh, read what they have to say, look at the pictures, and then we will meet you around the corner after you've seen the last 3 Animesh and see what they have to say.
And
So does
Serenity,
anyone?
Serenity put a thing in chat saying if she turned on her invisibility so she could see invisible objects, she could find the thing to click around the characters and be able to see the messages that are in them. It's not as much fun to look at, but it might help some of you find the information that's there.
Oh, and the other thing, mentioning that, if you go up to world and change the environment to like sunset or midnight, it gives you a whole different atmosphere in here. So go ahead and walk around, see what you can find, and we'll meet you around the corner. We're going to stop right here because we have a question to ask. Because we have an activity that we'd like to show you. Okay, is everybody... Go ahead, Carla.
We wanted to ask, of the things that you've seen so far, what did you find the most fun or interesting as you walked through the cave? And you can just chat it in, or you can speak, whichever you want to do.
So if you'll all walk over here to where I'm standing, we have a little activity. But you need to be where I am so that you can see what I can see. So as I mentioned, we also use this, not just this cave, but other environments for teaching communication. And one of the things that we learned is this is a great one for finding out how well people do for giving instructions. So as you can see in front of you in this lava pit, we have a bunch of cave people hanging out, but we have a bunch of boxes that are numbered 1 through 5. And the object of the instructions is for someone to give me instructions on how to get to each location because I can't see the numbers. First of all, does that make sense? Type Y into the nearby chat if it does. Not really, but yes. Okay, well, here's what we're going to do. I would like someone to volunteer. You can see where I'm standing, and I'd like you to tell me how to get to Oh, okay, Xenia, I'll repeat it. So the object is for someone to give me verbal instructions in detail of how to get from one box to another. So in other words, what do you tell me to do? How do I walk to get to number 1? How do I get to number 2? Etc., etc. So who would like to tell me how to get to number 1? And be specific. Remember, your mics can be used, so who would like to tell me how to get over to number 1?
Okay, Zinnia says to turn your avatar a quarter to the left and then walk straight ahead.
Okay, so the object of the game is to tell me how to get from where I'm standing, like right now, like Zinnia was trying to tell me to do until my avatar decided to go on his own. And I can't stop him from moving. Okay, so the point of this is to see how well people give instructions, because when I was teaching managers how to communicate, they were saying that people didn't follow through on their instructions. So when you do this scenario, they would tell me, oh, walk straight ahead, turn to the right. That was basically their instructions. And I specifically had told them, and I mentioned it while I was talking, and some people probably heard or didn't hear, but I said, be detailed. So what I want to hear is, walk by the meats. Maybe walk by the pig that's hanging on the first rack. You'll see there's a fire pit up ahead. To the right of the fire pit, you'll walk right into the number 1. Then, turn to your left. Walk straight ahead. There's 3 rocks in front of you, but eventually you will come to. And that's what I'm trying to get the people that are participating in when I'm doing a communication training to try to get more specific, because as we all know, the more specific we are with our instructions, the better off we are to make sure that the person that you're communicating with truly understands what you're saying. Oh, but you were being Zinnia. It's fine. I know who you are. All right. It is 10:31. Um,
Yeah.
I
Are we
want you
going
to
to?
see some.
Yeah.
What'd
Are
you
we going to?
say?
We're going to sexual harassment now.
Well, we'll go to sexual harassment, but I think we have time to do one more thing. So if you'll follow me, some of you, it'll probably be easier if you fly, because I just want you to see there is an end of the cave. So if you follow me and then fly up, fly into the sleeping part. And if you look at the ceiling, I definitely have a cave painting on the ceiling that just keeps repeating itself. I would say compared to what the people actually really lived in, this would be a kind of cool place to hang out. So before we go to sexual harassment, thanks, Val. Before we move on to sexual harassment, does anyone have any questions? All right, so now that we've had that little experience, if you'll all follow me back the way we came through that opening, and you can fly over or whatever you'd like to do, just don't bang your head. You will see a haystack.
The one that. Let's
Click
see.
on the haystack.
The one that
It'll
Buffy
teleport
is
you.
next to.
And it says teleport to SH start.
Yeah. I'll stay behind Bruce and come last.
Okay.
I just click the.
Okay, we'll wait for everyone to show up. So are we sure everybody's here? My first question to everyone, and if you'll type it in the chat, is have you ever taken a sexual harassment course? Next question. Did you do it online as, where you just read and click and get through the course? Have you had it where it was a face-to-face training? Okay, Buffy and someone else said something like classroom. Well, we developed it 3D, and I've actually done this course for a couple of companies in California, and that's what this is based on, California law, but it can be used anywhere in the country. Yes, it's required twice every 2 years in California. But a company that could do it for free, doing it online, got in touch with me and said they still wanted it in 3D because they found it more exciting, they learned more, and they had a good time. So, keeping that in mind, if you'll follow me, as you walk down this path, you're going to see there's some raised bricks with arrows in it. When you walk on them, it does a pop-up. And here's where I would read it, or I'd ask someone to read the question and ask people what they felt about it. And we'd have a great discussion. So this whole area here, and you can follow me now, this whole area is like what I consider the icebreaker to talking about sexual harassment. And this starts the conversation because sexual harassment should always be done, in my opinion and Carla's opinion, synchronously, not asynchronously. When you do it, online, just clicking, you don't have anyone to ask questions to. So when you get to this point, and I'm going to let you all go through it yourself, you're going to see there's a bunch of animesh. They have in cover text a question, and we would ask the question, people would talk about it, and then if you click on the person, you will get a note card. So go ahead and look at the people that are here. Read the question and find out what the answer is, and I'm going to meet you down here at the movie house, movie theater. All right, so as you can see behind me, there is a movie. We've set up this outdoor movie theater. As you click on it, it gives you questions. They're either true or false, or trying to get to one, or multi-choice, A, B, or C. If you look in front of these benches, you're going to see two kinds of boxes. Ones that have letters on them, and then white boxes. The white box, if you want to go ahead, click on them, and they turn from T for true, F for false. You can click on the boxes, and they go from blank to A, B, or C. And this is how we have the students tell us what the answers are to the questions that we would be asking. So again, it keeps them involved, and it also keeps them from doing other things like emails, looking at their phone, things of that nature. As we continue down the path, you will then see more characters with questions and answers. And then we actually come to this large screen. This screen here gives an account and a history, on sexual harassment, with timelines. So I don't read all this stuff. I make sure that I ask people to read things because I'm here to facilitate the training. I want them, and I play devil's advocate to get them to talk. Excuse me, which is loads of fun. So now, if you'll follow me around, and as you can see, at every turn, we have something happening. All right, this is, for me, one of the biggest and best parts of the sexual harassment and why 3D is so perfect for this. Do you see this couple sitting over here on a bench? And I'm going to put a box out so you know which couple I'm talking about, since there are two couples. So I'm talking about this couple here. Does everyone see which couple I'm talking about? Type a Y. Perfect. All right. So I'd like you to really look at these two people sitting on the bench for a few seconds. Watch their expressions, their movements, etc. Now that you've done that, I'd like you to type a Y for yes, an N for no, or an M for maybe if this scene depicts sexual harassment.
So was everybody, people came at different times, so did everybody hear what Bruce was saying about the characters that are sitting on the
Bench.
side facing the building, the two people? And have you had a chance to look at them? Okay, can you repeat that, Bruce? Because some people were back looking at other things, and I think
Okay,
was said.
no problem. So so looking at these two people on the bench that are sitting next to the box I put on the ground, and I'll move the box so everyone can see what I'm looking at.
Oh, sorry, I'm bumping somebody.
And you might want to pan around and look at the two people. But what we'd like you to do now is either type yes, a Y for yes, N for no, or an M for maybe. And do you think this scene depicts sexual harassment? Go ahead and type in your response.
We're getting lots of maybes.
Yes, I see. That's interesting. All right, so for those of you who said yes or maybe, type an F for female and an M for male on which one is doing the sexual harassment. Okay, Buffy says it's the female. Anyone else like to take a stab at it? She's definitely crowding him. Sue says it's female. It's the female. It is pretty public, but neither seems happy. And there is plenty of room for her to move to the left. Uh-huh. No idea. I don't know all the information. I'm confused because they are mirroring each other. Lucinda says his hands are tapping as if he's nervous. All right. So.
This is the most observant group we've ever done this with. You did a great job, everybody.
Yeah, because most people say no. But you've all brought up some very good points, and that's why we like using this. It shows people that it's all about perception and what they're seeing and how they're viewing things. When we set up the OS conference this past December, we put this scene on the stage platform, but in our booth we set it up again. And Carla, I'll let you tell them what verbiage you put in so that people could understand what was going on. So I before you do that, I also believe it is the female because she's leaning in, she's crowding him out, he's tapping his foot, he's nervous with his finger at his mouth, and he just doesn't look happy. But now listen to how Carla portrayed it in a different scene.
In the expo area, we put some of the when you click, you get the chat message in nearby chat in each of the bots that we had there. And we put, he was uncomfortable and he felt harassed. There were two people observing. One thought it was harassment. One thought it was just, rude behavior. The other thought it was fine. And we had the woman sitting next to him as his manager who was trying to put him at ease because she'd noticed over the last few weeks that something was bothering him and she was trying to help him get through something. And so we sort of, for those who did see it as harassment, we tried to turn it on edge because it is very ambiguous. And as somebody, I forget who, said, you don't know enough about what's going on to really judge, and yet people often do very quickly.
So for the sake of time, I'm going to ask all of you to walk inside the building here, and when the door opens, you're going to go to the left.
Yeah, this
As
is
I wanted
part of the first stage that is done for all employees. We're now going to go to the second part, which is done for managers only. In California, that's required.
So walk through the sign that says bottom line, and I'll see you on the other side. Very good. So what I'd like everyone, because of time, what we're going to do is we're going to walk through this opening here, and we're going to make a left out this door. Everything in here, it goes in a circle. There's more scenarios for people to look at, but I'd like you to be able to have some fun. Just based on what you know about sexual
walk
harassment.
through the sign that says bottom line.
Here.
Just walk right through it. It's straight ahead of me.
So as you can see there, and I'll explain it again when more people come out. There are all these boards along the wall. They all pertain to sexual harassment. When you read the board, you then have to decide if it's true or false. By clicking true or false, it'll tell you if the answer is right or wrong, and if it's wrong, why you're wrong. So go ahead and start clicking some of the boards. Does anyone have any questions? Where do you see the challenge? Oh, the challenge box was basically at the end, once the training's over with, I then asked the people as part of a debrief. So what challenges have you had in the past when it comes to sexual harassment and dealing with it? Or what challenges do you think you have in the future in dealing with sexual harassment? So it was just my way of remembering to debrief, and instead of just saying, does anyone have any questions, say, what challenges do you have? Yeah, so what I did was, since this is every 2 years, since the company asked me to do it again, I added that whole beginning part where I said that's the icebreaker, so that it would be different. And the pictures that would appear in the icebreakers would also be pictures of the actual people that work for the company. Any other questions or comments?
And Xenia, yes, people are more open to talking about things here. I think that's feeling a little bit distanced from your own avatar, and sometimes not having nonverbal information coming in, expressions and things, lets people just feel freer to talk and listen to each other.
This is Gentle. One of the things that we do with our posters that we use for asynchronous education is we provide live links for additional information. So you could provide, in addition to the answers that you've got on these, you could provide live links to the cited legal references or whatever.
Yes, we could. The thing, and I had a conversation with someone else about this, the sexual harassment training that we put up here can only be, I will only let people come in and do it if they're willing to do it from beginning to end, synchronously. They then have the ability to come back. So your point is well taken. We can put that in, but I'd have to come up with a way so that they can't do it during the actual training, so that they could come back and refresh their memories, so to speak. But I had one company that they wanted me to video it so they could use it for their training, and I said, no, there's no interactivity, there's no discussion, you're just watching a video. How is anyone really going to learn what sexual harassment is really all about? But I love that idea, so I will work on that to get that incorporated in so that when they come back asynchronously, they can do that.
Yeah, and I think if we had been videoing something, that would have suppressed people's willingness to talk and participate openly. So it would be very counterproductive. And I think Gentle Heron says no exclamation mark, so I think maybe is on the same page.
Thank you so much. Meet you back in Second Life at the Nonprofit Commons. And this was a really great session. I know it's always hard to navigate two worlds and get here in the metaverse, but great job, everyone. And really great use of a 3D world for virtual learning. Thanks, Bruce.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.